Hello and welcome to this edition of Trojan Talk. I'm Paige Ray. Joining us today is Lecturer of Art and Design, Beverly West Leach. Beverly, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Paige.
Of course. Now, you have a very exciting show happening right here on campus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I could. It's at the International Arts Center, and I titled my show From the Hive because actually my only hobby is beekeeping. I tried to be a good gardener.
Not quite.
I'm kind of letting it go wild, but the bees like that.
Yeah.
And I thought of the title From the Hive. The nature of the artwork I create is very eclectic, and I think of my studio and my art practice as like a hive of activity. So I thought it was a good analogy.
I like that. Well, I love anything bee related. You know, there's a big campaign right now about Save the Bees. So I thought that was really neat when I first saw it. Tell us a little bit about the work that is being shown inside the IAC.
Certainly. I mentioned how my work and body of work is eclectic. So I have drawings, photographs, mixed media assemblages, analog collages, and digital collages.
Oh, wow.
And a few other nuggets I might have forgotten about.
So a bunch of different varieties of art in different forms.
Correct.
Why did you choose to do several types rather than focus on one?
Well, through my career as an artist, I have at moments in my career focused on particular mediums, painting in particular, and for probably close to 2 decades I focused on printmaking. And before I relocated to Troy, I moved here in 2007 and started my job in 2008. I was a graphic designer for 20 years in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. So it's bringing together all my skills as an artist into the classroom for my students.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the message of your work or what story you're hoping to tell through it?
Certainly. I do hope the viewer can infer their own story, so there's freedom of interpretation.
Okay.
But I'm sure what the viewer will see is a connection to Mother Nature. As a beekeeper, and an avid outdoors person. In my youth, I used to camp all the time, always played outdoors, and I have a strong feeling about using natural resources correctly, meaning no pesticides, more wild gardens, wild yards, not manicured, not pesticide filled. And you hear a lot in the news about trouble with pollinators, right? That maybe without the bees, we won't have food to eat. Right. So trying to tie together in a sophisticated, almost aesthetic way, the value of nature and again, family and our human role in that. So a couple of my main pieces when you walk in are a honeycomb kind of pattern, and the one piece is called waggle dance. So there's this dance that bees do to communicate to one another, where's the nectar source. Okay. And to think of some tiny insect and how they communicate as one unified organism to find the teeniest flower for the nectar to bring back to the hive, to then dehydrate it, to store. Yeah. You see, there's foraging and storing food for the future. That seems like a human activity too at some level. Yeah. So to me, it's a very intertwined relationship all life forms on the planet have to humans, and I just hope a viewer comes away feeling inspired to maybe do their own art, get out in nature.
You mentioned too, that's just one of the stories or messages somebody could take away from. There are many others that different people could come in, but in order to do that, they've got to come and see it.
Correct.
So tell me, how long will your work be in the IAC?
It's through the rest of the semester, and I think the first 2 weeks in January, and then the show will switch out to another artist that will have a duration of time that students will get to explore, interact with. And sometimes when artists come and set up their shows, they will do maybe a workshop with our students or give an artist talk.
So speaking of artist talks, I hear you have one coming up.
Yes, I do. It's November 1st at 12:30 in the afternoon, and Dana Lemmer, the director at the Wiregrass Museum of Art, is coming to facilitate a Q&A with me, and it's open to the public, everyone on campus, and including all my students.
Well, Beverly, I love the idea that since you're going to be there throughout the semester, we can be in the dark month of December, cold, and walk into the IAC and immediately be transported to spring and summer.
That is right. Yes, I have a lot of three-dimensional sculptural collage pieces that revolve around not only bees but birds. And the things these animals have in common, of course, are the sun, bright warm colors, the sky,
Yes.
and flowers. I have a hummingbird piece that has a lot of pinks and bright green. Hummingbirds are like the jewel of the bird world,
Yeah.
and they're also a needed pollinator as well.
I know it's going to be beautiful. Thank you so much for stopping by and giving us a preview.
I appreciate the time, Paige.
Of course, and thank you for joining us on this edition of Trojan Talk.